So, Heather, let's start with we are now a couple of days away from the electors voting. There's 538 electors or members of the Electoral College. They will gather in their state capitals on December 19th. They will cast their official vote for president. And as you know, if all the Republican electors support Trump, he will clear the 270 vote threshold. He needs to become president. He has about 306 electors, and that is the state of play as of now. We presume they will all vote for Donald Trump, but there has been a movement by some electors, some Clinton electors. There has been at least two Republican electors who said they couldn't vote for Trump, one who resigned, one who has publicly said that he could not vote for Trump. And Lawrence Lessig, who's this professor from Harvard, has been saying for the past week or so that there are at least 20 Trump electors who could flip. And as you know, it's not necessarily they could vote for Kasich or just randomly, or they could flip for Clinton. But it's unlikely to happen, Digby, but it's also a fairly interesting development, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, what it does is it shines a light, I think. I agree with you. I think it's a real long shot. But it does shine a light on the Electoral College and, what it actually means. People are actually talking about it in a way that, I think it's educational and showing people that the Electoral College it's really an anachronism. And if it isn't, if we are to take it as it was designed, then this idea of flipping electors or faithless electors or, having electors vote their conscience is entirely in keeping with the design of the Electoral College. I mean, let's just put that out there. Now, we have all come to believe that the Electoral College must reflect the vote of, I guess, the states or whatever the state law is, as if that's some inviolate principle of democracy, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean that's arbitrary.
We've also come to sort of have this belief that the winner of the presidential election should be the person who got the most votes.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I mean, if you want to look at an inviolate principle, something that is a very simple and obvious thing to understand, the person who wins the most votes in the country should logically become the president. And this Electoral College, to the extent that it made any sense at all, was the idea that someone who won the presidency by some means that was not an acceptable president for any number of reasons, that the Electoral College would be one of those, one of our many checks and balances on, bad decisions, right? I mean, isn't that what it was originally designed for? So you can't really have it both ways. I mean, my feeling is this, that look, you either believe the Electoral College has the right to step in, and these people have a right to vote their conscience when as the founders intended, or the Electoral College should be abolished because it makes no sense in a modern democracy. This sort of hybrid thing that we've got going, which is, the Electoral College, they can't vote their conscience because there are state laws and, they've made some decisions and, and it's different. They're all different. In Maine, they've split it up and there's some that reflect the popular vote and others, where they break it down by how many each of the candidates got. I mean, it's not like this is a uniform system by any means.
Right.
So, you can't. You either have to accept the Electoral College for what it was designed for, or accept that it's an anachronistic throwback that should be gotten rid of. And in this case, I mean, I'm a big believer, being a person who kind of believes in this sort of simple principle of democracy, that the person who got the most votes should be the president. I mean, this is ridiculous that we're even having this discussion. And as we know, if we were to adhere to that simple democratic principle, Hillary Clinton would be the one who is being inaugurated on January 20th. Now, this idea that they've come up with, I think it's a group they're calling themselves the Hamilton electors,
right?
Which is, I guess they're trying to piggyback on the musical, as far as I can tell, because everybody knows that Hamilton, he's kind of hip at the moment. But whatever, the idea being that some of these electors who think that Donald Trump is unfit should instead vote for another Republican. And again, to me, that's just a complete absurd reflection of democracy. I mean, I guess you could do that. I mean, sure, under the Electoral College, it's theoretically completely, allowable to do that. But again, voting for John Kasich, who wasn't even, in the running, over the person who won the most votes in the country, and by a substantial margin. Nearly 3 million more people voted for Hillary Clinton. I mean, this is not just a squeaker where if you did a recount, maybe it'd go the other way. I mean, this is a clear, substantial victory on the part of the Democrat in this race. To then vote for someone who wasn't really even, a factor seems equally absurd to me. So, I guess at the end of the day, it's good for us to have this conversation. And I think that the idea that we need to do something about the Electoral College, of course, you and I both know, Sam, that the only way the Electoral College will ever be abolished will be if this happens to a Republican. And, that's not happening because the whole system's set up for Republicans to benefit from the Electoral College because of this, small state business.
Well, I mean, it is, I think technically speaking, it really is set up to benefit the more reactionary, the more rural, the wealthier, ultimately, I think.
Yep.
People. I mean, and it just so happens that the Republican Party ends up benefiting when those people have an advantage.